Sam, welcome. Thanks for joining us here.
Thanks so much, Peter. Thanks for having me.
No problem. You had a kind of a big day, so you just had your live stream and you sort of re-debuted Outliers, and
That's
you've got
correct. Yeah.
got your EP coming out tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but this will be the first time these songs are finally available to listen on, streaming services and download for people who are still into having, somewhat of a physical thing.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. It's good news, and I was listening. It's great stuff. But by the way, this is random, but I
Sure.
came prepared. I forgot I had this. Well, I didn't forget I had it, but I have this sitting here. Is that appropriate?
Very topical. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I want to go into a few things. First of all, what's the origin of the band's name?
That's kind of funny. So we started back in around 2011, 2012. A few of us are from Berklee College. That's how we sort of all formed. And that was around the big boom of like the bedroom production metal scene. So drummers using samples and programmed stuff, and guitarists using fake amp sims and all that stuff, and putting them all together in the box. And one of the bands that some of the current members and my friends of ours were all listening to was this band Corellia. They had a song called Aviation, and this is the first time, or one of the first times, I'm actually putting the two and two together. But we realistically were looking for words that sort of had something to do with, I don't know, something uplifting or exciting or travel even. I think Voyages, which is one of our old songs, was a runner for a band name at one point. But
Sure.
Came back to this a couple of times, and then I think I saw it on a track listing of that same Corellia record and said, hey, let's run with this. One word pluralization of the times.
And things like that. Easy to remember is just as good as, it's got to be the perfect combination of clever and like sometimes
Of course.
just go with what people can remember. Now I want to ask you, speaking of Berklee, as a guitar player, who were some of your early influences, and did going to Berklee change that any?
I think going to Berklee had a little bit of the opposite effect on me, because once you're surrounded by so many amazing players, you kind of immediately get put into perspective, where if you sort of thought you were going to music school to become like the best, that's immediately humbling to realize like that's just not going to happen. You're going to get there to become better. But I can't not mention John Petrucci of Dream Theater, of course. He's
Sure.
Absolute first guitar player that I ever fell in love with through his playing, and other guys such as like Guthrie Govan were up there. Just amazing stuff that my early guitar teachers started showing me, and it was like once that world was open, forget about it. Berklee was like, that was it. I think it was probably the only school I actually applied to as well, so was super blessed to get in and just have that whole experience.
Yeah, when Dream Theater first came out, I mean, not the first album, but when Images and Words came out, and
Yes.
And I was just like, holy, just like I found my next favorite band. Like it just, just such revelation coming from. I was a huge Rush fan, and but I like the harder stuff. So I was like, somebody did it. Somebody turned Rush harder, So it was just a real find back then.
Perfect band at the perfect time, right?
Totally. Now, two guitar players in the band. And of course, you have a lot of parts that are intricate to get around. But as far as when you're writing,
Right.
Do you and Eric say, okay, we need to map this out as who's playing what, so that when we're on stage, like, oh, I can't go from this clean part to this part with this whammy pedal, or I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you map that out, or do you just say, let's just make the song good and worry about it later?
I think it's a lot of the latter, honestly. And a lot of that inspiration comes from like a lot of other bands that we've been following recently in our scene. Periphery is a really, really good example. They're a band that has 3 guitar players, and whenever they're composing, I think their thought process is essentially what's going to serve the song, what's going to be something that I want to listen to like for the rest of eternity, because songs are forever, they're a legacy. But when it comes to live shows, it's a lot of fun trying to like reassemble and figure out how to actually like perform that impossible thing we've created in a live context. So for me, that's actually kind of the fun challenge in doing so. I think there is a ton of value though, especially as we go into 2021, creating some new songs, focusing a little bit more on like how something will be pulled off live. And that's just, might feed in a bit to making the sound a bit more like a band, like guys in the room, even though that's, we love the really well produced sound of making sure we have the best takes of everything, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, how that influences it.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you that. Like, I know what I enjoy more, but for you, and you may have just answered this, what's the most inspirational part for you? Is it perfecting the idea in your head and getting it down in a studio or direct to the computer or whatever? Or is it the first time performing live? What's like gut
hard,
instinct? Yeah. Like what hits you first?
I got to say the one that I do the most, which is producing and making it perfect. I'm a video creator as well, and an editor, and as well as an audio producer. So like I spend most of my life tweaking and making things just like absolutely as perfect as they possibly can be. And then the experience of finally hearing it once it's all done is just like, so like, yes, like this is what we were set out to do, like whether it was months or years or however many years before. And yeah, like getting to actually play it live is a really amazing experience, but we don't really get to do it super often, especially with our members in such different places. And now things are clearly different. So who knows when that's going to happen again.
Yeah, this, even without the location factor, this year's put a damper on everything. But now you have toured. I didn't know this, but I read up on you a little bit. You toured with Arch Echo.
Yes.
Yeah, I've met those guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, you were saying new music in 2021. You're hoping. I mean, is that anything you can definitively say like that's the plan for next year is new music? I know you're just releasing an EP. I don't mean to be like, oh, what's next, but
no, I think for a lot of bands that are looking to continue doing things outside of just like a bedroom project, like looking to the future is, you know, something we're always thinking about. So we actually do have some recording dates set for February to track, I believe, live drums in a studio that my drummer has been to, James Knorrell, super awesome guy, one of the founding members, and it's been with me for like the past like 9-10 years or so. And also piano recording as well in that same week with Richard Blumenthal, our awesome pianist, who again wants to be called a pianist. He's like perfect pitch, like crazy amazing musician. And we got a studio that has, I think, a nice grand piano, some organs and harpsichords and electric keyboards, and it was just like a total pianist playground. So already have some like great, you know, stuff to work with there. And I think around that time we'll probably be tracking some guitar ideas and getting everything down. So however long it takes us to put together the right package after that, you know.
Sure.
2021.
I'm guessing it's Richard that's behind this in your song Intense Intense. Intense Intense. I was watching the video at one point, like, so at some point they decided they needed not only a xylophone, but a xylophone and a glockenspiel. You have both.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, so somebody's like, no, you can't just have one. Like, I need the higher register for this one too. And that's got to be Richard playing that. I think it just had the close up the hands, but I'm assuming that's him.
Yeah, that's a really good assumption, but surprisingly, it's actually our drummer.
Okay.
Yeah, he like growing up, he was a very big drumline guy. He wrote a lot of charts for various drum lines he was teaching for his, like, I think by the time he was done with high school, he was like basically running the show there, the music program. So he's all about like everything percussion related, which is all like, you know, the mallets and glockenspiels and all that fun stuff.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. So like any chance we get, I think that was like the chance to bring to life from what our actually the record we were updating from this Outliers song was from 2012, and we used a bunch of like glockenspiel, but they were like programmed computer sounds and stuff. And he was like, you know, I have a real one. Why don't we put a mic on and actually play it? And I was like, I'm not gonna say no. Go crazy, man.
That's one of the main things I want to ask you. With retrospect, what was the biggest takeaway for you revisiting old songs? Because I think for any musician, you go back and listen to something from 8 years ago, and there's got to be a crit like oh, that held up pretty well, and then there's got to be some like, ugh, why did I do that? Or I mean, what was your impression? What did you find yourself fixing the most, and what did you find yourself saying, you know, oh, this turned out great?
I think the first thing we all noticed before we even like pressed record on any of this new material was we were very young musicians. We were very like high on caffeine and just like full of energy, and a lot of our tempos are really, really fast. So we knew this time around, having played it in a live setting a few times, let's slow things down, try and bring a little bit more pocket into this like crazy technical music. So we had a lot of fun sitting down and like really working out the sections that like, okay, we seem to like push and pull a bit live on this part. Should we kind of settle back and figure out how that feels in a better band setting, like a real band setting? And after like picking through some of those parts and like layering on layers of different guitars and like just following our influences that have changed over like the last 8 years or so, like things came together pretty quickly, and it's just been like a really amazing feeling to finally see it come to fruition.
Yeah.
We actually re-listened to the first version from 8 years ago today, and you're right, there's plenty of elements that are pretty cringy. Actually, I think our vocalist is number one, where he was saying, my voice is so different. I was a child back then, essentially. But for us, there was a lot of like different guitar tones that were of the times that have, you know, changed over the years, and I think sounds a lot more full and natural, and is of 2020 on this new version. So as far as like what's changed, I'm super happy with it, and I still have a very special place in my heart for the old version. It was like started my college career, started my professional music career, really. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's still a benchmark, and the you're not alone. Like we talked about Dream Theater. I remember an interview where Petrucci was complaining. It's like Images and Words. Like I had a rhythm tone, a clean tone, and a lead tone for the whole album, and it's those three tones, and he really wanted to break it up more. So, and he's exactly right. So I think that's everybody. But so that's exciting. So it's out. Today's Thursday, so it'll be out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I want to make sure everybody knows where to go to get the album. Go, find you on YouTube, find your videos, because you've got several, that kind of thing. What's the social media things they should be looking for to find out about you?
Sure. So we try to keep it easy. Our handle on pretty much everything is Aviations Band. I think Aviations Music might even work on a couple. But we're releasing for download on our Bandcamp, just aviations.bandcamp.com. Bandcamp's been super great to artists, so we're super happy to be on there. Mm-hmm. We'll be on Spotify and all the other major streaming services as well, Apple Music, Tidal, all that's great stuff. And our YouTube channel, again, youtube.com/aviationsband. We post as many videos as we can on there, and we're going to be trying to post more frequently on our Twitch channel as well, which is something I think you saw today. So twitch.tv/aviationsband. Like, just feel free to stalk us anywhere you can find us.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's good stuff, and I'm definitely a fan. So it's great talking to you, Sam. And I'm going to be looking forward to getting the EP, and looking forward to new stuff in 2021. So it's exciting. And when all this stuff ends, let's see. Now you're based in Boston.
Yes, currently.
Okay. I'm in Philly, so it's not too far. So I'll be looking forward to try to catch you guys live sometime.
Oh man, as soon as we can get out and play a single show, that will be such an amazing experience. It's gonna be such a long time coming.
Definitely. We're looking forward to it. Well, I appreciate you joining us, and we'll be hearing more from you in the future, I'm sure.
Thanks so much, man. I could talk Dream Theater all day, but I'll hold my tongue.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't get me to go off on a rant for an hour. Yeah.
So appreciate the love there. Yeah.
All right. Cool, Sam. Thank you.
Of course. Talk soon.